at you.
Hey everybody, I'm Xena the Queen, the Serpent King, and I dance and stuff, and sometimes that's with fire.
Don't stare, mama taught me better, I know it's rude, but you're right there, now I don't wanna move. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. So, you know, I think I talked to you a little bit about it, but most of this is just wanting to get to know you as a person and getting to hear about you as your personality and everything else in between.
Aw, thanks baby girl.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start off with my 3 questions.
Sure.
Everybody has some form of like inspirations and desires, you know, things that drive them and make them feel good about themselves, you know, and I guess my first question would be like, what makes you tick?
Okay, so what inspires me, honestly, is the potential that we have in the world and the potential that we have as a life, like as people. But the hardest thing is to harness that potential and to really take it by the reins, you know? Like everything that we could want or need, we have right here. But the hardest thing is to actually make that happen, because that's exactly what it is, us making it happen for ourselves. And that's a very difficult process a lot of the time. But that is the thing that inspires me the most, I'd say, is just the potential that we could be living up to.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I could totally understand. I hope like people can understand and get that point of view that, like, you know, despite everything that could be going on in the world, we have potential to make things better. We have the potential to wake up and see. We're not at that point where we can't go back yet, and
right.
we can't start making those
It's never
things.
too late.
Yeah, it's
It
never
feels
too
like it is oftentimes. I'm feeling that hardcore right now, but I know that's false information and silly thinking, and it's never too late.
Never too late. I love it.
Thanks.
Okay. The world we live in, I feel like we're constantly getting things shoved down our faces, you know, on what we could like or should like and what could be and should be. And, you know, it's so easy to get lost in in this ideal image of how we think things would be, not realizing, you know, that we never really know how things are going to be, and things could be just as good or as bad as anything else.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess like my main thing is when you're in this quest to kind of find those things to make you feel good, and you're in the quest of just kind of seeing all these things shoved at you, what keeps you grounded and what keeps you making you make those decisions that you know are like best for you and aren't just, you know, that impulse decision or that moment of like, oh, I know that would feel really good, but in the long run, it's not who I want to be. You know, how do you keep yourself grounded and stop yourself from kind of getting drawn into the madness that we have today?
How I keep myself grounded is love. And so that can come in many forms, you know, like that doesn't necessarily mean like the love from another person. Yes, that's a very helpful and beautiful, wonderful thing to have and very helpful, but it doesn't have to come from the form of from another person. For me, it can, and I hope for everybody, it can come from a place of self-love. And for me, that grounds myself in reassuring myself of who I am and what I am and why I love myself.
Yeah.
And I can feel like gratitude and I can feel love by something that I do mechanically.
Yeah.
It's by dancing.
Huh.
So, and dancing for me doesn't have to have music to inspire it. It can just be an idea in my head that makes me move to no music. But also it's very easy for me, especially these days, to feel dance via music, because in the music scene out here, it's really beautiful and wonderful, and it's so easy for me to just like tune into any of like my friends in the scene and hear their music, and honestly that makes me feel so much love, is hearing their music particularly. Aww. So like I'm not just saying that, and like that really does make me feel a lot of love.
I love that.
So if I'm trying to like ground myself or like bring up my mood for the day, I'll just turn on one of my friends from the music scene and I'll instantly just feel that love and that gratitude, just have that sound in the world, and my body will express the love however it does.
As a musician, I can totally understand that and appreciate that, especially since having it be local musicians that you actually know, so you know the background story personally, and you've had them speak to you, and you've heard the emotion personally from their heart, and in their own tonalities, and I totally could understand why that would hit you harder, you know, than some random artist that you like just because of, you know, it's been shoved in your face.
Right.
You
I mean,
know?
it's really both. And like, even if it's someone who's local who I like don't know on a great personal level, and I don't know the story behind it, that still does it for me too, just because I'm there to witness them expressing themselves, and like I'm seeing, especially if it's live, you know, and even just like hearing their tracks after having seen it live, it still brings it back mentally for you, of like you seeing their fingers pluck those strings and producing those sounds, you seeing their face while they're producing those sounds, and like their body language and their tone of voice, everything. Like the eyes is a big thing for me, or like people's smiles. Like I love the smiles on people's faces. There's a few particular people who I'm thinking of here too in the scene, when they are playing their instrument, because like that's when I feel the love that they're feeling for what they're doing in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's what inspires me tremendously and makes me feel that love. And then like suddenly I'm just like, I don't know, my body's doing things that I didn't know that it was about to do.
I love it. I totally love it. I fucking love it. That's awesome.
So I love it. I love them. I love music. I
that's
love
good.
dancing. That's my thing. That grounds me.
Music makes the world go round.
It does. Happy to have it.
Yeah, and it's important for everyone to have that one thing that grounds them, because, and that's the thing, that's what's beautiful about that, is it's simple. And that's really what something grounding needs to be, is something really simple. And it doesn't take a lot of effort, a lot of energy. It doesn't take a lot of thought process. It's something that you can do in a blink of an eye or in a drop of a dime.
With our technology today, especially.
You know, exactly, because of the fact that, you know, we set these really big goals for us that aren't as easily achievable, even if it's something as cooking. You know,
Yeah.
you know, you could be like somebody who's trying to cook, and I know I set really big goals when I cook, and sometimes I'm like, I thought I could handle all this, and I cannot. So, you know, and then I'm like, all right, I have to take a step back and say, okay, well, we'll try doing just the vegetables today, and then we'll move on to next week and add something else, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's why I'm happy you had I love your answer, I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Nobody goes without hardship. I feel like, you know, everybody goes through obstacles and goes through, you know, walls that they need to climb and mountains that they need to get over to be able to become a better person and to learn and to become stronger. And they don't always have to be like negative or sad or any specific, tied to any one specific thing. But I think that sometimes when you're wrapped up in your own hardship or your own being, it's hard to sometimes see other people's hardships. And it becomes very easy to just kind of look at somebody else and say, hey, you know, I'm going through my stuff right now. I can't focus on you. And I think that sometimes we feel bad about doing that. But I think that if we all took time to do that more and focus on our own stuff and get through our own stuff, I think that that would really help us grow. And I don't think that we should be mad at each other for doing it. I think we should encourage each other from doing it and make it clear that we're just there if they need us, and vice versa. And have you ever been through a hardship, or what has been your biggest hardship that you've been through, would you say, where, you know, you had to kind of take a step back and say, you know, I need to take time for myself, and you learned and you grew and you became a better person in your mind?
Okay. Well, all right. So this is kind of like a loaded question for me. To sum it up, I guess I would call my life a hardship. I mean, that sounds really cheesy,
No,
and
it's okay.
it sounds like very melodramatic and all that jazz, but like,
Not at all.
like just every step of the way though,
Yeah.
like there's always been hardship after hardship. But those things are all just learning processes that I'm grateful for now. I actually kind of, now I just kind of look at my life, and I like to call it a beautiful tragedy that I love to read.
Nice. I like that.
Thank you. So instead of talking about any past hardships or anything, I'm going to bring up like my current biggest hardship, I would say. I guess it's kind of like two things, but they're wrapped in together. I guess like my biggest problem is that I was always too distracted in my life by life to work on myself. I didn't ever have the opportunity to. It was always a hardship after a hardship,
Yep,
wrapped up in other hardships. And as soon as one ended, I would go running to the next one, and whatever it be. And I never had the opportunity to look at myself and work on myself. And I also moved out when I was 16. So I've been a workaholic ever since then, and I'm 31 now. And so even with like the things I was going through in life, time after time, at the same time, I also was constantly working myself to the bone with multiple jobs, 7 days a week, nonstop. And just to keep a roof over my head and my car insurance paid and a phone.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe feed myself once in a while on the breaks that I never took. And I was always distracted. My biggest distraction was bad boyfriends. I was always distracted thoroughly by bad boyfriends. And this combination of things just kept me from being able to develop my own self and well-being and really experience that there is anything to life at all.
Yeah.
Because I was always just too wrapped up in everything else that was happening around me, and a lot of it was my own fault, of course. So it is what it is. But I guess that'd be like my biggest hardship now, is that now that I finally have taken a breather, I've finally learned through my thick skull some hard lessons that took way too many years to sink in with people. And now I'm at a different stage in my life where I can actually like sit back and soak in life and experience what life is like and what real people are like decent people.
Yeah.
And soak in music and soak in love.
Aww.
And because I have that opportunity to do that now, that's also giving me the opportunity to be able to look back and recognize what I did.
Yeah.
And I've wasted so much time.
Yeah.
But all I can do now is learn from that, like with everything else, and move forward. And here's the like second part that goes into that. My biggest hardship right now is that, and this actually kind of rounds back to my first answer to you. It rounds back to the hardest thing. Making things happen for yourself. Like I mentioned before, life is full of potential, and everything that you want or could need is there for you to take it. You just have to make it happen. And that's the hardest thing, is making that happen. And right now, I am my own worst enemy, and I am doing a really poor job at making anything happen for myself. And so I'm stuck in my own little rut about it, and I'm trying to crawl my way out, but my nails keep breaking and I'm slipping down, but you know.
Okay. Well, then that's a kind of an awesome lead into the next surprise question, which is really, really easy. During all of this, what motivates you? What's your biggest motivation?
My biggest motivation? My biggest motivation that keeps me going in life, honestly, is that there's a whole big wide world out there for me to see.
Okay, I love that.
Thank you. Like I haven't been outside of my own country yet. I'm 31 years old and I haven't been outside of my own country yet. What excuses do I have?
Yeah.
What excuses do I have? Like, I mean, my goal in life, or like what I want to get out of life, is experiences. And I can't get all the experiences that you can experience in one place. So I want to see as much of the world as I possibly can before I die, and I want to share in so many beautiful, amazing experiences with many people who I meet along the way and may never even see again.
Yeah.
And I want to like have that memory with those people forever.
Yeah.
So I guess like that is kind of, that's my motivation.
Well, that's a good one.
Thank you.
That's a great one.
Thank you.
Awesome sauce. Well, I thank you again so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks so much for having me here.
They don't understand, so